Ahoy everyone, I'm back, this time to discuss the gameplay and balance changes I'd like to see made to COH3 in 2026. I'm going to divide my desired changes into categories with a goal in mind. Make the game more intuitive. Have inputs be more rewarding. The player's decisions and gameplay events have more consequences. Make the game more fair.
Shoot it!
And finally, a handful of bug fixes.
God damn it, dude. What is going on?
Be sure to check out my previous video for my other desired changes to COH3 which are not related to gameplay. Beginning with the changes to make the game more intuitive. Starting with the attack move command. Currently, when you use attack move on the ground and multiple enemies are within range, the unit will attack whatever is closest. It would be an improvement if they attacked whatever was the best target instead, as determined by the weapon's target priority system. That is how attack move worked in COH2, and it is better. It makes attack move more worthwhile to use. Attack move changes also need to extend to team weapons, this time with a focus on the weapon staying set up until every enemy in the current arc is dead or has left before tearing down to face a new threat. This would stop HMGs with an attack move command from auto-rotating to attack a flanking squad, and reduce those frustrating situations where your AT gun feels like it is constantly setting up and tearing down. Again, this is how attack move worked on team weapons in COH2, and it was the better system. Give an attack without move command to stationary units like emplacements, so they can kill decrewed team weapons more easily. I would prefer if attack move was removed from units that cannot attack, like the recovery vehicle. The goal of this change would be so you can box select a group of units in an area and give an attack move command forwards. The combat units would move forwards, and the support units which cannot attack would remain in place. This eliminates the current step of having to manually give a stop command to the support units. This is how it was handled in COH2, and it is better because it offers more control with fewer inputs. Smarter control is needed for units that have rear-facing weapons, such as the CMP Polston. Currently, when you give a right-click command to attack a unit which is slightly out of range, it pivots, drives there forwards, then turns around again to fire. This makes these vehicles annoying to control, especially for beginners. It would be nice if they had tweaked AI to allow them to reverse in these situations instead. This should also apply to other commands like recovery vehicle repairs. Hitching up for a tow has already been improved, and this shows that fixing this should be possible on other units as well. And while I'm talking about the Polston, it is one of a few units that doesn't have a focus vehicles button, but really should. Add a visual confirmation to capture orders when they are given on the tactical map. In COH3, it is possible to give right-click drag commands on the tactical map, which is helpful for quickly repositioning an anti-tank gun, but this makes it very easy to accidentally do a small right-click drag command when trying to give capture orders quickly. Having a visual confirmation would allow the player to redo the input immediately, rather than finding out the hard way later on when their squad runs through the point and doesn't capture it. Capture orders given on the mini-map make the point flash a couple of times as an example. A visual confirmation was also present in COH2, where this wasn't even a problem because you couldn't give right-click drag commands on the tactical map. Related to this, there seems to be a bug that occasionally prevents you from clicking on things. In this clip, you can see the cursor doesn't change to allow a capture command to be given. Why can't I click on that? Dude, I could not right click on that. I don't know if you guys saw, I was hovering my mouse over that and I could not click on it. And in this clip, I cannot left click on the Panzer Pioneer's decorator to select them. I can't fucking click on this. Why can't I click on this? Whatever is going on here desperately needs to be fixed. Fucking shitty selection, dude. In patch 2.1, Relic started to introduce resource points with income values that differ from normal, and this has made things a bit confusing. For instance, on Twin Beaches, the 3 fuel points close to the center of the map give +8 fuel. If you select them, you will see they are labeled as low, though they take the same time to capture as a medium point, not a low point. I like the idea of tailoring the resource numbers to better suit the map's design, but there needs to be consistency on naming and iconography so players know what to expect for capture times at just a glance. The option to build defenses, such as bunkers, in water was added back in patch 1.6. I don't like it. This looks ridiculous, and it relegated water on maps from being a gameplay element to a decoration only. In patch 2.2, Relic changed it so that the battle group abilities you need to activate, such as call-in units or off-map artillery strikes, always appear on the bottom, and the passives go higher up. This is fine for playing, but for spectating, I would prefer if the abilities remained in the order they were unlocked, maintaining a record of how the player unlocked them. Moving on to making inputs more rewarding. Positioning a heavy machine gun weapon team in cover so that all or even most of the crew members get the defensive benefits is far too difficult. I have talked about this extensively in the past, but it is hard to believe that an action which is so foundational to Company of Heroes gameplay on a unit that is present in almost every match still works this poorly on the wide array of cover formations in this game. I think the change that Relic made quite a while ago, where the movement portion of a right-click drag command is ignored if it is only a short distance away from the team weapon's current position, works well for quickly changing angles on anti-tank guns, but it isn't as well suited to machine guns, where it can deny the chance to stay in cover during an angle change. Squad formations on right-click drag commands also need adjusting. Some formations are based off the lead model, which I think is correct, because it makes it easier to judge how close to danger you want the unit. But other formations go off the rearmost model, which I think is suboptimal and also annoyingly inconsistent when handling different units. Also, when I give the stop command to a squad, I want every model in the squad to stop immediately.
Hold still, will you?
Hold still, and then he runs into cover. Speaking of the stop command, using it in COH3 seems to interrupt a unit's firing cycle. This makes it hard to modulate speed on a vehicle when chasing a unit, without losing DPS from the machine gun bursts constantly getting interrupted by pressing stop. This wasn't a problem in COH2, and that made machine gun only light vehicles more rewarding to use. Cancelling construction of a mine takes forever. In a game that is more focused on responsiveness than its predecessors, why does it take around 2.5 seconds after the order is given for every model to start moving away? As far as I can tell, you stop taking bonus damage as soon as you interrupt the construction, but some of these builder units are so squishy they are prone to dying during this delay anyway. While vehicle pathfinding is much better than it was at launch, it still needs more improvements. What are you doing? What are these guys doing? Oh my god, the pathfinding is atrocious. When circling an enemy vehicle with your own, as you give new commands to continue circling, very often you can see your vehicle suffer from small stutters and losing momentum. This makes casemates simply spinning on the spot too strong because circling around them smoothly is too difficult. Testing this by following a circle, it is possible to get a smooth result, but the precision required to achieve this is too high. Maybe the issue is the vehicle being too willing to cut a sharper angle and not having enough respect for angular momentum. Quite often in COH3, when you give rapid, short-distance commands to vehicles, the results you get are worse than simply giving one click and letting the algorithm take over. But the result you got from that single click wasn't exactly what you desired to do either. Whereas in COH2, you could get excellent results with this kind of control. This made situations where you escaped from an enemy with your slick control extremely gratifying, and it is missing from COH3. And now the changes that will make game events and player actions more consequential. A big acceleration boost to vehicles that are starting from a standstill was introduced back when the input latency of COH3 was rubbish, to help make the game feel more responsive. Since then, the game's input latency has been greatly improved, but for some reason, the acceleration boost remains. Having this in the game reduces the importance of a positioning advantage at the beginning of a fight, because the enemy's vehicle can react and match your speed so quickly. This could be the difference between getting to their rear armor or not. It also removes the hefty feel of controlling a tank. These are big lumps of steel, not top-fuel dragsters. Repairing vehicles while they are moving is too forgiving in COH3. Having it this way blunts the impact of engine damage and mines, because the vehicle can be repaired while it crawls away to safety. It also buffs heavy tanks, because their slow move speed means engineers can easily keep up with them while repairing. Now you may say, but tightrope, repairing in combat is risky due to the penalties the engineer gets, which is partially true, but largely mitigated by so many tanks having smoke. It can also be hard to actually target the enemy's repairing unit, because right-clicking on the engineer any place they overlap with the vehicle will have you attack the vehicle instead of the engineer due to the game's right-click target priority system. This is another area where the rework to attack move target priority that I suggested earlier would help your rifle units to hit repairing engineers on the far side of the tank, without having to worry about giving a precise input. When you give a retreat order to a machine gun, if the gunner dies during the teardown timer, the machine gun instantly retreats. I think this is unfair. If you are late to give a retreat order to your machine gun, it should be punished. You shouldn't get this RNG get out of jail free card. I'm not asking for the return of COH2 Maxim death loops, but simply the crew cannot move until the timer is completed to give adequate opportunity to punish a mistake. Here are the changes aimed at making overall gameplay more fair. Currently, when you suppress a single fire weapon, such as a grenade launcher or a bazooka, they barely suffer any negative effects from it. In this demonstration, the suppressed bazooka team only performed 33% worse. This is because suppression doesn't apply a reload penalty like it did in Code 2. And the scatter profile on these weapons is so good that they still hit their targets very frequently while they are suppressed. So the accuracy debuff that suppression applies isn't very effective at reducing their damage output. Suppression needs to be made better against these weapon types, either by slowing down the other parts of their firing cycle, not just the cooldown, or by adding a scatter penalty. Double the command point cost of everything, but also gain command points twice as fast. This will make it possible to fine-tune the cost of battlegroup abilities, and the timing on when certain options, like a lot of the early game call-in units, hit the field, because the viability of these units is often make or break depending on their timings. Eliminate smurfs and boosting. I can understand if someone wants to play meme builds on a different account so they don't ruin their rankings, but the way it is currently being used is to shorten queue times for high-ranked players, ruining their opponents' games in the process. On top of that, there are the ELO condom teams, where a veteran player using a low ELO smurf account teams up with their usual arranged team partners. This increases ELO gains when they win and blunts the losses. Undesirable behavior, and it needs to be addressed because it compromises the ladder. After the recent speed-ups to towing, I think towed heavy weapons, like the 88 and 17 pounder, are a bit too strong. The overall hitbox shrinks from this to this in the blink of an eye, which makes using precise artillery on the weapon not very effective, meaning you need to target the tow vehicle first. DAC has a large advantage here because their tow vehicles can be upgraded with more health or smoke, making them much tougher to kill. Plus, the walking Stuka can easily kill the CMP in one barrage, but only the Whizbang can really threaten DAC's towing vehicles. Perhaps towing could be made slightly slower again, or the weapons themselves could take damage while they are still crewed, or take damage while they are hanging off the back of the towing vehicle. After the change, which made vehicles unable to crush wrecks from other vehicles of the same size category, salvage has become too strong. I think the amount of resources salvaging grants should be reduced, and perhaps infantry-based salvage should be reduced by a larger amount, because in the late game it is usually easier to kill a recovery vehicle than a retreating engineer. This will give more of a gap between salvaging, which is relatively fast, and recovering, which takes much longer when you factor in the repair time as well. Also, the command point cost for this in the Armored Support Battlegroup should be increased. In patch 2.1, the minimum cast range on rifle grenades was reduced from 15 to 12.5, alongside of some large lethality increases. I think it should go back up to 15, because it is too easy to sneak one onto the enemy at relatively close quarters, and it's not enough of a trade-off for its superior range. Also, there seems to be a bug where if the officer model, which is usually standing at the rear of the squad, is the one launching the grenade, it fires immediately with no wind-up, giving zero chance for the enemy to dodge it. What the why did it fucking do that? Mines getting triggered by flamethrowers. At the moment, mines explode from flame damage so quickly they are constantly set off by accident during play, such as a flamethrower unit shooting at a retreating squad. I think it should be changed to require 2 bursts to trigger a mine, so you can still clear them off purposefully in a reasonable time frame. While a unit is being produced at a base structure, the building has an animation, like the lights coming on, parts moving, or smoke coming out of the chimney. Both a nice touch and very important information to have when base diving the enemy. However, the British platoon command only has one light come on and it's under the covers. This is hard to see from the default camera angle and should be made more prominent. And rounding out the video, we have a handful of bug fixes. Get rid of moonshots.
Oh, come on now. Oh, for fuck's sakes, I can't shoot through that.
This is when the projectile of the weapon shoots straight up into the air and takes an extra 10 to 15 seconds to
Shoot
land.
it! Oh, god damn it, dude. What is going on?
Capture point is being lost.
Come on now.
I think the idea is to enable the shot to go over the top of blockers, but it often seems to happen at unpredictable times when you can't see anything in the way. Alongside this, the Packhowitzer and LEIG are frequently hitting wheeled objects after their change to a lower angle, which is frustrating when you're trying to use them.
Hold that! Direct fire, HE on that target!
When you set up a machine gun, the arc shown during setup is slightly smaller than the arc is after completion. Ensure that the weapon, which has the highest number from the target priority formulas, takes the firing positions for open-top transports. This wasn't a comprehensive list of every single change that I desire, but it has given me an opportunity to address some of the game's shortcomings that I feel have been overlooked for too long. Make sure you leave a comment with your most desired gameplay change down below. A big thank you to all of my Patreon backers, and if you want to support the continued production of videos like this, I hope you consider jumping on board.